All right, let's look at our class and module. Oh, before I forget, of course I did that. Sorry about that. I just wanted to let you know that I just moved the button for class videos and I made it the very first button. That way you don't have to scroll down because we don't really look at the bell schedule that much. So I just kind of switched those around. So it is the very first one. And then your daily work is right here too. And then, the Odyssey's here, Tangerine's here. All your other stuff is still here normal. But for everybody, I moved the class video button right there. All right, let's go ahead and look inside the module. So today's Wednesday, and last night or yesterday, you were supposed to read the story of the Lotus Eaters. So, what I want to do today is just watch a very quick summary video of what the Lotus Eaters is about because I want to make sure everybody understands it because I do understand that it's hard to understand that stuff. And normally we'd be in class and I'd be like stopping and explaining all that, but I just don't think that you know listening to me read or an audiobook read during class is that helpful. I mean, because we're online. If we were in class, I'd totally be doing it. So we're going to do things a little bit different. So I'm going to, I don't have this published for you, but I'm going to go ahead and play the summary video, and it's by Course Hero, and you can always go back and look it up just to help you understand what's going on because yesterday when you read the Lotus Eaters, their base lotus is a flower, right? So if we were to excuse me, they call them the Lotus Eaters because they're literally eating these plants. Okay. These right here. This is not that. This is a lotus. This is a drawing of a lotus. You probably recognize that more. So these are like floating around, and the people that live on this island are eating the lotuses, and it's making them feel a certain way. Um, so let's go ahead and just watch this summary video. Try to get more of an understanding of it. All right, here we go.
Book 9 of the Odyssey is all about Odysseus recounting what's happened to him since he first set off to fight the Trojan War 10 years ago. He recounts his journey to Alcinous and the Phaeacians, who now know who he is, tells them all of his adventures, where he first set out to Troy, won the war, conquered it, but his army decided that just wasn't enough. They went to another city to loot and to pillage. Now, Odysseus told them that they shouldn't stay very long, but they ignored him. They ended up falling victims to a counterattack by the inhabitants of the city. Driven back to the ocean, the winds drove them off course and found them stranded on the island of the Lotus Eaters. Almost like opium addicts, when his crew began to eat the lotus flowers, they became lazy and complacent, forgetting their memories at home and not wanting to do anything else but loaf around. What Odysseus recalls next is an integral part of the book. In fact, it's what set him up with all these problems in the first place. He and his crew, the ones that he's managed to scrape off Lotus Eater Island, have encountered Polyphemus, the Cyclops.
Okay, we're gonna stop it there. So all you guys read yesterday was about the Lotus Eaters. So excuse me, I'm gonna go back here. He's saying basically what happens is when they eat the lotus, it's kind of like um some kind of drug that makes them forget about what they wanted to do. And so since the very beginning of the Odyssey, all Odysseus and his men talk about is wanting to get back home. That's all they want. They want to go home. They've been gone already all these years, I think 10 years, fighting the Trojan War. They haven't seen their families, like their babies have grown up. They want to go home. That's all he talks about. He talks about wanting to go home to his wife. Well, instead of going home like they should have done, they went to another island to get to steal stuff basically. And then they end up being pushed by the wind, which will be another part of a story later, being pushed by the wind because these are sailboats because they're old into the island of the Lotus Eaters. And there's actually other people here and they tell them, eat the lotus, eat the lotus. And they warn them, don't, like Odysseus says, don't do that, because when they eat it, basically they become drugged and forget that they wanted to go home, and they end up just staying there because the people that are lotus eaters want them to stay there. And this is a really neat thing, because it's actually been part of like even other movies and stuff. I'm trying to remember, there was like a casino, I think, yeah, it was Percy Jackson, where he literally is walking into the casino and the lotus flower is above the casino and the sign. And so when you watch that stuff, it's all just um analogies going back to the original story, which is the Odyssey. So when you go into and look at your assignment, your project, I mean, excuse me, you see that my sample, I actually put it in my theme park. And so that's why you see it there. It's right here. Lotus Eater lattes, basically kind of like a reference to Starbucks for me too, because Starbucks puts the siren. We talked about this before, and we'll look at the sirens later when we get to the siren story. But um, it's sort of a combination of like Starbucks and the Lotus Eaters, the latte part anyway, because Starbucks puts the siren on there because they're irresistible. Basically, when they start singing, men just go, even though that means their death, they just go. And so Starbucks does that too, basically making it irresistible. So I changed it to Lotus Eaters because it's like the best thing ever, and you want to keep going back and you won't want to leave. And so that's why I have that there. So each, we already know the story of, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, we already know the story of the Trojan horse. So now you know why this would be called Trick of the Trojans. And you also have an idea of why I put the Lotus Eater lattes in there. And I'd have to explain that out in the pamphlet part of my project. Because remember, there's two parts to that, right? So one part is just naming it and putting it on your map, and the other part is explaining it out. If you need to see that again, click on resources, and then just go ahead down here and you'll see samples of the second part. So here's a student map, here's the map I did for us, and then here's samples of the brochure. So like their Lotus Cafe is right here. I called it Lotus Eater Lattes, so I'd have to explain like why I put Lotus Eater Lattes in there. And basically it's like a mini advertisement, like, this one says home of the world's famous lotus flower that you can eat topped on your burger, and for dessert are delicious lotus looking cookies. So because mine is more like coffee driven, I'd say home of the famous lotus flowers that keep you coming back for more lattes. You'll never want to leave. Something like that, because it refers back to the Lotus Eater Island. All right, let's go back into modules. All right, the second part of today is that you need to read the story of the Cyclops. And this is probably not probably, this is the longest reading that you have this week and next week, to be honest with you, because the Cyclops is a longer story. And then you've got some comprehension questions. Biggest thing is, if you have not already got permission from your parents to watch that clip, this is the clip I'm talking about for tomorrow, that I want to watch the movie clip with you guys. But if you don't have parent permission, I can't play it for you, basically, because it is a little bit violent, but the story itself is violent. It just makes it easier to understand. Okay, guys, hang on just a second.